First of all, I'd like to say it's a great honor for me to be here today. I'd like to thank I Care for All and my associates here at Parallel Networks. My name is Jeff Schoep. I spent the last 27 years involved with the National Socialist Movement. For those of you that don't know, that's America's Nazi Party. It was connected to the original movement of Commander George Lincoln Rockwell. Coming from an individual that spent their entire adult life in that world, the first thing I want to convey is that change is possible. People can change, and my story is a little bit different than the common narrative. And the common narrative for people that are involved in the white nationalist movement is that they come from broken homes, and they were bullied, they were on drugs. For some people, that is true. For me, I came from a normal family, a good middle-class home. I didn't have a lot of those things going on. For me, it was the ideology. The ideology locked me in, and one of the things I want to explain about that, as we're doing some of the work here with combating violent extremism, is that in the National Socialist Movement, we could recruit anyone. That's how we looked at it. There's not a certain type of individual that can get recruited into this. It's not just people from broken homes. It's not just people that are having trouble at school or lack of friends or things like that. We would look to recruit literally anyone. We tailored our recruitment efforts and our propaganda to the individual. That's probably also something that you haven't heard too often as well. If someone came to us and religion was their thing, that they were strong into religion, we would introduce them to Christian identity. If their experience was black crime or something like that, we tailor the propaganda to hit that particular issue. Whatever their individual hatred was or their individual concern or worry, we would tailor our propaganda to that, to get that person in the door. We knew that we didn't have to get them 100% agreeing with everything that we're saying if we could just get them in the door. And then we introduced them to that network that we had. And some of the things that we did in there, in the movement, is we produced DVDs of meetings and rallies and things like that. We produced radio shows. Right now, the organization, the National Socialist Movement, is still doing somewhere between 5 and 7 radio shows a week. We produced video games. We had music. I used to run a record label, NSM 88 Records, the largest of its kind in the United States. There must have been 2,000 or 1,000 different bands from different countries all throughout the world, from everywhere from Spain to Italy to Russia to Chile to Argentina, everywhere you could imagine. So what this is doing is it's creating a whole network of people, and we feel that to counter that, to properly counter that, we have to provide a parallel network. We have to provide a place for these people when they're coming out to go to. The biggest thing that I'm hearing from a lot of, and you have to, I'd like to remind you or to share a little bit about my story. I just came out of the movement in March of this year after spending that long in it. And the biggest thing in influence I've had as far as the people that are coming out is they keep saying that they feel like they have to go to the extreme left. They've asked me time and time again if by leaving the movement you have to go to be an Antifa or you have to be a communist. And that might sound kind of funny to people in the audience that are hearing that. They think, well, why would they think they have to be a communist? Because that's how deep the propaganda was for us. Is that the communists were our mortal enemies. So when they see somebody leaving our old world or leaving the nationalist movement, they automatically think when we're doing like the work we do with parallel networks that we are communists or that we are on the other side. So you have to understand that, or I'd like you to understand that the propaganda is so deep, it's so deeply embedded with people that that they have these type of thoughts. Another thing that we did when we were in that organization as well is We run counterintelligence operations, and this is something I have not spoken about publicly ever before, but I think it would surprise a lot of people as well. We had people that were going undercover into the Antifa groups, into different organizations. We were sending people into the United States military. We were sending people into the police departments. We were getting the counterintelligence, we were getting the intelligence work that's being done on the movement and put in our hands by people from police departments and military installations around the country. We had specifically, I don't remember exactly what year it was, but the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League, had a specific training course for police officers. We had that. As soon as that was released, we got it. As soon as it was first introduced to the police departments. I think this is why I talk about that and why I feel it's so important, is for people to understand how deep these networks truly run. This is not a fringe, just on the fringe, but it's deeply embedded into a lot of people, and I think it's really important to understand that and to be able to unwork that, and to unwork that type of ideology. The biggest thing, what I was trying to say, was with the people coming out, besides thinking that they have to become Antifa or they have to become communists, the other thing is they're saying when they left, they lost all their friends. They lost everybody that they knew. The way the network worked for us in that world was everyone, literally, it was the same for me when I left. Almost everyone you know is involved in that. You've isolated yourself from the rest of the world in so many ways that it was put to me by one woman. She says, you know, I feel like we need something like Alcoholics Anonymous, but for movement people. And at first I chuckled, you know, at the thought of it, but when we're talking about programs and things that we need to do to help these people get out, just getting them out is not a solution, because quite often, you know, you hear, oh, well, this person left or that person left, and people think problem solved. Problem is not solved, because they're in that mindset where they feel like now what? You're out, but you've lost your support network. You don't have anybody that's outside the movement, and the movement views you as a traitor or a communist or something to that effect. So you don't have that either. So what do you do with these people? We need to have, in my opinion, we need to have programs and things for them so they know that there's a better life out there, that they know that there's something else out there for them. Dehumanization. In the last couple of years, I've been wanting to, I should say the last 3 years, I wanted to leave the National Socialist movement. I knew what I was doing wasn't right. I knew what I was doing it wasn't in line with my own thinking of human beings and people, but I stayed there because I felt stuck. And I don't like the word that I lack the courage, because I feel like in a lot of other aspects of my life I was very courageous, but really when you break it down, that's what it was. Like I didn't have the courage to leave. And I was the leader of this movement for 25 years. So if I didn't have the courage to leave, in that sense, a lot of other people don't have the courage to leave either. In a lot of ways, I think for a lot of people I had heard it before and always thought it was kind of silly, but they said that it was like, the movement was like a cult. Now that I'm out, that I had a chance to decompress, and that process for me took months. For others, it can take years. But to decompress and look back on your life and all the things that you did that you regret, and all of the hateful things that were put out there over that period of time, one of the things in the last 3 years that really started getting to me was the dehumanization. I didn't even know that word 10 years ago. 3 years ago, I started speaking about it when I was in the movement. And I had said, you know, society was dehumanizing us. And I used an example that I can think of. I think it was in Seattle or Portland. There was a young man that was wearing a swastika armband, and he was getting off the bus, and he was talking to some people, and he was just kind of talking like that with his hands. And he got punched out. He got sucker punched from the side and knocked unconscious in the street. And people were snapping pictures and walking over him and spitting on him. And they just dehumanized him. And at the time, I remember watching that and showing it to as many people in the movement as I could show. And said, look, this is what society thinks of you. Society hates you. Society doesn't think anything of you. And that sort of thinking was deeply embedded, and not just in their heads, but in my own head as well. And now that I've had a chance to decompress, and you look back at that and you say, well, here's a guy up there that's a Nazi talking about dehumanization. That's ridiculous, so that's funny. After looking at it, and having that chance to decompress and looking back at it, I go, wow, the movement dehumanized so many people, entire races of ethnic groups, religions. We dehumanized people for years. And here I was in the last 3 years talking about how we were being dehumanized. It's almost hypocritical, but I think something about dehumanization is really important. So it took me a little while to realize that I didn't actually get that part until I was out of the movement, until I decompressed. So reaching those people with these type of things is not going to be an easy task, but I think a lot of people don't understand. I think a lot of people here do understand because a lot of you are academics, but in our line of work, with the formers and things like that, we can reach a lot of people in a lot of ways that I think that others can't, because we've been there, we walked in those circles, we understand the psychology of it. We understand, in some senses, for lack of a better word, it's like street cred. We're able to tap into that. But what I do want to point out is that there's a vicious cycle when it comes to hate and further radicalizing somebody. Hate begets hate. It actually fuels it. And some examples of this is like the Antifa versus white nationalists. The Antifa believe that by physical violence or, meeting white nationalism with violence is an answer. I can tell you firsthand from 27 years of experience in that world, we loved it when the Antifa came out there. We loved the opportunity to be able to fight and all that sort of thing. We knew we could not throw the first punch, at least in my organization that I was part of. We knew that we could never throw the first punch, we would wait for it. And there was times where we had been in physical confrontations with the Antifa or the Communist Party and things like that over the years, where guys would say, oh, well, this rally, this event was boring because we didn't get to fight anybody. Why couldn't we have another event like what we had in New Jersey, or like what we had in Phoenix, or things like that? So this idea of some of the people on the far left thinking that punching these guys or fighting them is going to actually get them to stop, it isn't. In fact, it further fuels that. Once again, hate begets hate. If you hate the person that you're coming up against and you attack them, they're going to fight back, and we're not going to get those people out and back into society. I look at being out like we are now, like we are here today. I call it civilian life. We saw ourselves as being, in a lot of ways, like in the army. Like we were separate from the rest of society. This is civilian life. We were soldiers. So when you're looking at it from that perspective, and that's how you feel, and that's how you dictate your life, that's a really deep-seated emotional and psychological thing, and it's not easy to break. And there is people out here in the formers and things like that think by degrading people in the movement or speaking down to them or smashing them that you're going to get to them. You're not going to get to them through that. You're going to cause them to be more extreme. You're going to do the opposite. So there is well-intentioned people that are out there that are trying to fight and combat this sort of thing, but they're going about it in the wrong ways. And I know there's skeptics out there that think, well, he's just saying that, he's sticking up for his old comrades and things like that. It's absolutely not true. In their mind, what I'm doing by telling you these things, by speaking about these things, makes me the lowest form of human scum on the earth. So I'm not out just speaking up for these people. I'm here today because I'm trying to do what's right. I should have been doing this 3 years ago. What we've seen in the uptick in violence is really probably the last straw that pushed me out. The Christchurch mosque shootings, the synagogue shootings, some of these other things. I knew some of the people that have been involved in some of these things. The guy that walked into the synagogue in California some years back, Buford Furrow, he was somebody that I had met. I was very, very deep into this movement. I spoke all over the United States, probably just about every state, from backyard barbecues to rallies at the state capitol steps. I was holding the noose on the state capitol steps of Kansas a few years, or well, it was about 10 years ago now. But, you know, these are things I'm not proud of, but I'm saying I do have an understanding of this world, and I'm trying to help, I'm trying to reach people that are in it. Not so much just to save the individuals, because you have to look at it from a deeper perspective. Like the people that are going in and doing these mass killings, all the families that are affected by that, all of the people down the chain of events that could be affected by that sort of thing. I know that's why we're all here today, and that's why I'm trying to you know, convey this message on how we reach these people and what is the wrong way, and exactly how we can get through them. And I think it's incredibly important, and it's incredibly important that more people step forth that come out of this world and have the courage to do so, to be able to make a difference. You know, we all know what the problem is, and that's why we're here. So I don't want to go on lamenting about societal problems, but rather speak to you about solutions and how we can reach others, how we can reach those people that are on the fence. You know, how we can stop the next mass shooter from happening. Disengagement versus de-radicalization. The first step has got to be disengagement. If we can get somebody away from that network and get them out of the movement to start with, that is the first huge step. If we can just get them there, we can de-radicalize later. There was a term, I just maybe you can help me. What was the term? Counter bias? Confirmation bias. This was a term that I just heard recently when we were doing an intervention. And it is the belief, those of us that were in the movement, and I never thought of it until Jessica mentioned the word in one of our interventions, but we would always say we were open-minded, we would look at both sides of the coin and this sort of thing, but you only wanted to get the answer you wanted to get. So you would look at research from both sides, but you would only, in your mind, have a bias to what you wanted to hear. And this is a big, big thing in the movement too, because you can show them all the proof in the world, and if you're not looking at it with a truly open mind, they're going to be biased, and they're going to keep throwing things back at you. So that's another thing that we're trying to get past with people and unwork those things. And that's why the work that we do with formers and reaching these people is so important. We know what doesn't work. We know that degrading people, shaming them, things like that, it doesn't work. It's going to drive them further into whatever extremism they're involved in. And we can make a lot of parallels here between radical Islam and between the white nationalist movement. There's a lot of commonalities, there's a lot of similarities, and reaching these people through shaming or degradation or things like that just simply doesn't work. We need to look at the commonalities and the compassion. Some of the people that I've met over the years that helped me to broaden my own horizons and my own way of thinking, they came at it from such a loving, caring, compassionate way that really got through to you. And when you look at that and have that commonality with another person, and you say, wow, this person is going through the same struggles, their family is going through the same struggles as mine, you can't look at that person with any sort of hatred anymore, because they're just like